Okay, funny thought. Let's pretend this is your first time seeing this design, and if I told you, oh, this was designed by a kid, what would your reaction be? How's it going, guys? It is Plastic Disaster back with another lazy review, and today we are going to take a look at the Master Grade Build Strike Gundam full package from the Gundam Build Fighters anime. One thing I want to get out of the way, what I forgot to mention back in the Master Grade Ale Strike review, I forgot this is the RM version, which this kit is based off of. Which means it's going to have the same inner frame and familiar parts. Now the real question is, will this kit be as good as the base kit? Let's find out during the review. So taking a look at the box art, we see the Build Strike fighting against the amazing Zaku. Looking at this side of the box, we got the front, the rear shot of the kit when it's all put together. We got the close-up of the chest and the 1/100 scale of the pilot, or should I say Gunpla builder. Moving on to this side, here's what it looks like without the backpack. And over here just shows more gimmicks with the backpack. Take a look at this side of the box. We got the Build Strike firing its enhanced beam rifle. And speaking of the beam rifle, here is the weapon layout and what cool gimmicks you could do with it. And right over here, it's doing the iconic seat pose and showing off the articulation. Alright, so after opening the box, we got 8 bags of runners and the manual. Taking a look at the cover of the manual, here we got a familiar box art. Opening to the first page, we got a ton of information, as well as information of the Gunpla builder and the fighter who does the heavy lifting. Checking the parts list, well, looks like we're gonna have a few leftover parts. So moving on to the middle of the manual, here is the Build Strike fighting the Gyan. And right down here, we got some images from the anime, a nice CG render of the Build Strike going up against the Zaku Amazing, a color guide you're planning to paint the Gundam, and the pilot, or should I say builder, excuse me. Funny thing is, that's Kira Yamato. Have you guys seen the anime? There's this one scene where this kid is in the Kira's pilot outfit. And right down here shows if you panline this kit, makes the details pop. Moving on to this side of the manual, we got gimmicks of the build booster, that's the actual name of the backpack, familiar images of the articulation, weapon layouts, and going on to the last page of the manual is where you place the marking stickers. And the back is the kit all put together. So moving on to runners, what I have on this pile are familiar parts from the MG Strike version RM. However, if you take a look at some of the runners, you'll notice that some chunks are missing. I do not want to go down that rabbit hole, so let's take a look at the new parts. So for the new parts, we're going to start off with runner N, and that is going to be a multicolored runner with a big chunk of white, yellow, blue, and some clear parts. Runners 01 and 02 are going to share this chunk of a runner, and there are the white parts. For P is going to be the gray parts. Runners Q1 and Q2 are going to be the last of the gray parts. They're going to be sharing this chunk of a runner. Runners R1 and R2 are going to be the blue parts. They're going to be sharing this chunk of a runner. Runners S1 and S2 are going to be the last of the red parts. They're going to be sharing this chunk of a runner. Runner T is going to be the rest of the white parts. Finally, we got an action-based runner, color caps, beam sabers, marking stickers, and color correcting. And just to get this out of the way, you know that's going to be the eyes, front of the head, back of the head. These green stickers, they are going to be part of the enhanced beam rifle. They go right there. That's going to be it for the unboxing part of the video. I am really excited to put this kit together, and I bet putting this kit together is going to be just as fun as the MG Strike RM. So I'll put it together right now, and I'll see you guys right after. Here's the kit all put together, and like I said, it's just like building the original Strike Gundam. It's just as fun, except there are some differences. And I also have to say, the out-of-box presentation, wow, it is really great. The color separation, the engineering, I feel like Bandai put a lot of effort on this one. So I already went over the stickers during the unboxing, and there is almost no seam lines on this kit. So let's jump right into the accessories. Hand options, it does have swappable fingers, so if you want me to go to detail, again, check out the original Strike Gundam review. So first, we got this little pea shooter right here. I know it's called the beam gun, but I just want to give it a funny name. Now, it can upgrade it in like two ways. If you want to make the beam rifle, get this piece, pull this up, push the barrel down, pull this thing back so it can connect. You got the beam rifle. And if you want the enhanced beam rifle, it's kind of the same thing. Pull this out, bring this up just a little bit, plug it in, and bring this down, collapse it, and there we go. We also have the secondary handle. It could shift back and forth and can move in and out. And to store them, you might want to bring out the shield. So this big white piece, it goes right up here, slides down, and this plugs in right here with this little tab right here. Should go something like this. Since we're on the shield, you got this cool little claw gimmick which can move out like that, and this plugs in onto the arm, and for articulation it can rotate and it can move in and out. Next, you do have a 1/100 scale pilot of Kira Yamato, but you're here for the 1/100 scale of Sei Iori. Now you might be wondering, hey, where's his partner? Well, he's in another kit called the Master Grade Build Gundam Mark II, and I don't know if people still care about that kit. And finally, the accessory you've been waiting for, the backpack. Where to start on this thing? Well, it is a pretty cool accessory. You can have it fly on its own because it does have a little port right here, which you can plug on an action-based stand, which it does have. And for the articulation on this backpack, starting off with the big guns, right down here, it can swing forward and back right here, and can rotate right here, and it does rotate right here, and there's a ball joint right down there. You attach the Gundam and swing it forward, you can bring this red handle out, and you use the weapon holding hand to use it. Which one you might ask? Well, there's two different ones, one with the tab, one without. You use the one without. The articulation on the wings, this can rotate, this can move down and up, this big piece of wing can move forward and backwards, this little wing right here can move up and down as well. To attach it to the Gundam, first you might want to rotate this wing down and then bring the gun up, because if you try to bring the gun up, it will get in the way of each other. Before I show you to attach to the Gundam, you can bring the landing gear down. It's just that if you have it closed, it is hard to bring it down. Just pull it out just a little bit. There's your landing gear. Once you pull that out, you bring this down. It shows a little tab right here, and you can attach it to the back of the Gundam. Here's what it looks like with the backpack, and here it is from the side and from the back. It can stand on its own, but if you're worried about falling down backwards, you can bring these guns down just for stability purposes. Now moving on with articulation. Now it is pretty much the same as the MG Strike version RM. However, I will talk about some differences. Like the side skirt right here, it is on a ball joint, while this little dome right here, it can rotate. And of course, I forgot to mention, you can pull out the beam saber, and there is beam saber effect parts like you saw in the beginning of the video. Moving on down with the ankle armor, it can move up and down, and it can rotate a little bit. And that's pretty much the differences. Overall, just to keep it short, the articulation on this kit is just as good as the MG Strike version RM. For size comparisons, here it is right next to the standard size GM Sniper 2, and of course, they're both the same height. And just for fun, here it is right next to the regular Strike Gundam. Now, be honest with me guys, which one do you like better? And finally, here it is right next to Optimus Prime, SD Ariel, and Lego Batman. So that's gonna be it for the size comparisons. Let's move on to my final thoughts. Moving on to my final thoughts. Overall, I liked it just as much as the base kit. Now, it all comes down to personal preferences. If you prefer the Strike Gundam with, a little more flair or pizzazz, you go for the Build Strike. If you prefer, something more basic, you get the base kit. If you want to have fun and, mix things up a little bit, stay tuned to the end of the video, get both. Either way, you're still gonna have a great kit at the end of the day, and I just unintentionally rhymed. There is like another add-on set for the Build Strike. It's called the MG Universe Booster, which comes with like a brand new backpack and new set of weapons. By the time this video is released, I'm not sure if it's in stock, and if it is, if I find it in my local hobby store, I'll grab it. Okay, that about wraps up the review. I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, want to see more content, be sure to subscribe. Questions, concerns, comment down below. See you guys in the next video. For this bonus segment, I want to show you guys the compatibility between these two kits, since I did say that these two are pretty much similar builds. So let's say you're not a fan of this backpack and you want to swap, his backpack for his. This is what it looks like when both of their backpacks are swapped. Let's just say, oh, I'm not a big fan of the shield, it's a little too small for me. Well, there you go. Here is what the Build Strike with the original Strike Gundam shield. I can go on and on about the compatibility, like you can swap shoulders or swap legs, swap skirts, the whole 9 yards, because I will be here all day. I do want to show you one more backpack swap, so let's bring in our edgy friend. Even though our edgy friend is a couple years older than these two kids, but the compatibility is still there with the backpack swap. So let's take a break from giving strikes, backpack swap, and let's take a look at this back of the manual. Now, it does say you can give it to different kits as well, like the Red Frame, the Wing Gundam, Gundam Mark II 2.0, and the Gundam X with these parts. Now, out of the 4 I mentioned, I only have the Gundam Mark II 2.0. I assume you could say, hey man, you're missing out on the other 3. I know. Yeah, I forgot. I did glue the backpack down to the Gundam Mark II because it pops out so easily. But hey, at least you got the idea.